Hi everybody, I'm Michelle. You probably know me from my blog, Cozyegg. I decided to try something new, so thanks for joining me. You can find me not only on my blog, actually either blog. I have two. One is Cozyegg, which is my crafts blog. And the other one is Cozy Style, which is more kind of lifestyle, fashion, books, travel, photography, whatever. It's kind of a catch-all. And you can get to either of those blogs by going to my homepage, which is cozyeggdesigns.com. And from there, there's links to both blogs. I just recently moved my Cozyegg blog from Blogspot, where it has been since 2006, over to WordPress, actually on my own domain. So it was a huge move, and I just kind of crossed my fingers the whole time it was moving my posts. So anyway, you can find me on my blogs. You can also find me on Twitter or on Instagram as Cozyegg. I am very rarely on Twitter itself, but on Instagram obsessively. So you can find me and follow me there. And so really the reason that I wanted to try this out is because I have noticed that I don't spend as much time on blogs as I used to. And I know I've talked about this on my blog that, you know, Instagram is very instantaneous and easy to use, and you know, I can quick flip through pictures when I have a couple minutes, but sitting down to read blogs takes me, you know, a bigger chunk of time, and so I don't find myself going to them as often as I had been. Certainly it's harder to comment on them, I find, if I'm not sitting at a computer, if I'm trying to do it on a mobile device. What I have recently, or not so recently, found that I am absolutely loving are podcasts. And I have been watching a ton of podcasts lately. Of course, the majority of the crafting related podcasts that I find are knitting related. I don't seem to see a lot of podcasts that are stitching related or quilting related. So I just kind of thought, you know what, why not, you know, start one myself? And so I thought I'd give this a try and see what you guys think, see what I think, and we'll go from there. I will probably never, well, never say never, but I will probably continue to update my blog. I don't foresee myself letting that go because I do enjoy photography and taking photos and posting photos and telling the kind of the story that goes along with why I create the things that I do and why I spend the time doing them. So I don't foresee that going away, but I thought this might be kind of a fun little way to mix it up. Now that I've rambled on for like 3 minutes, we're going to call this episode 1. And today is Sunday, January 25th, 2015. And we're just going to kind of jump into it. So like I said, podcasting is something that I've been really enjoying watching other people do, particularly video podcasts, more than audio podcasts. Simply because, you know, I think Diane, Suburban Stitcher, mentioned when she started podcasting that, you know, it's like sitting there with your friends, you know, all gathered around and, you know, talking about what you're working on and seeing what they're working on and, you know, that kind of thing. I'm very, very fortunate in that I live somewhere where there are a number of needlework guilds, there's a number of quilting guilds, and probably there are a ton of knitting groups of some kind around as well. I'm actually a member of 2 different needlework guilds. One of those is the Dallas Embroidery Guild of America chapter. and the other one is an individual needlework guild. It's a sampler guild, the Tudor Rose Sampler Guild. And so I'm very lucky that I can, be a member of those, can go to meetings, can see what other people are working on. I've met a lot of friends through both of those. I actually just stepped down after 2 years of being the president of the Tudor Rose Sampler Guild. So it'll be fun to kind of get to sit in the back and stitch again rather than running the meetings. I'm also a member of the Dallas Modern Quilt Guild, which I am absolutely loving, and that's been a relatively new thing that I've been doing. So anyway, I'm very fortunate that I have those places that I can go and I can meet like-minded folks. But for folks that don't have that, one of the great things about the internet is that you have it here. You can kind of have a virtual stitch in or quilt in or knit in with people. You can, and the fun thing about podcasts is that you can do your crafting while you're watching or listening to them. So let's see, what am I working on? So I thought we'd start with stitching. And one of the things that I have been really, really trying to focus on lately is my And They Send. And so probably if you've been to my blog anytime in the past several years, you have seen this. And so I have been working on it pretty religiously. Let's see if you can see that. So this is where I'm at. And as you can see, I'll scoot back a little bit. I have it on scroll rods. The reason for this is because if you're not familiar with this piece, it is a huge, long piece. I am actually down to the very bottom section, right there where this grass stops, that fill-in stops. That is the bottom of page 3. And so you can see I have started on to page 4. And page 4 is the last page, thankfully, of this huge thing. They are legal size pages, so every page has had a lot of stitching in it. And one of the things that I'm having a lot of fun with is I am making a few little changes, minor changes. One of the things that I'm doing differently, of course, is the way that I'm filling in that grass. The way that it mentions on the chart to do it is to do these sort of diagonal stripes with the 2 colors. And so what I'm doing is actually what my friend Sylvia did with hers, which is basically doing tent stitch, where on the top row you're going one direction with your stitches, and then on the next row you're going the opposite direction with your stitches. And it gives you this sort of checkerboard appearance with the 2 different colors of thread. You're doing 2 stitches in one color, 2 stitches in the next, so on and so forth. But I like the texture that it gives, and I like that it's it's not distracting. Like, I think sometimes that diagonal stitching could be, or because I'm working with variegated threads, you can get those, lines in there, which don't bother me. You can see kind of the difference in color on the lady's dress there. But anyway, so I'm working on filling in that grass. The other little change that I made is I wanted to put my 2 cats in. So I have replaced a couple of different animals in here with my 2 guys. So this is Ramses, and he's got his little green eyes. And then this is Tutmos with his golden eyes and his little white spot under his chin. So hopefully you can see that. So anyway, I wanted to put the 2 of them in there, And so I have been working on this a lot lately because I'm really ready to have it finished. So that's kind of my main focus right now. The other thing that I really wish I had more time to work on, but I want to get And They Send finished, is His Eyes on the Sparrow by Heartstring Samplery. And there is actually a stitch along for this piece that started on January 1st, and it's in the Sampler World group on Facebook. Last year they did the stitch along of Snooty Parrots, which I have yet to finish, but and that was a lot of fun to see everybody kind of stitching along on that. And I know for some people Facebook is, you know, the only kind of social media that they do, so it's nice that that's available. So anyway, so His Eyes on the Sparrow, I had actually planned to start this January 1st anyway, and then luckily it was also chosen as, sorry, my hair is wet, so I'm kind of trying to get it to dry, which is why I keep messing with it. But the some friends of mine, Sylvia for one, and I had already decided that we were going to start Sparrow on January 1st as our New Year's Day start. So it was kind of fun that it got chosen for the Sampler World Stitch Along too. And so this is in my stitching bag that Sylvia made for me. You can see these cute little handles. And it's made with this super cute sampler fabric, and then it's got these little scissor charm on there too, which I just love. And then, I mean, come on, ruffles. How can you say no to ruffles? And then on the inside, it's got this fun, let's see if I can show you, this fun kind of checkerboard material. And then it's got a little Velcro closure at the top to keep everything in there. So I have made a very tiny start on this. Tiny start on this. But I love it already. And I know that as soon as I get And They Send finished, I'm going to jump back onto this. So I have this in my Q-snap frame, which is what I tend to stitch with primarily. I've tried to use a hoop and it didn't go well. So I really I love using Q-snaps, and this is maybe an 11 by 11, I think. No, it can't be, it must be smaller than that. So anyway, in the fabric that I'm stitching on, I didn't even tell you on And They Send, but And They Send is on 40 count, and I'm using the called for Gentle Arts sampler threads. This is on a 48 count linen that Sylvia dyed for me, and then I'm using the called for colors threads, which I think are also, I think they're sampler threads and then weeks. So I've got those here in my little floss away bags with my little fob here that another friend gave me a couple years ago. So that's what I'm working on. Oh, and there's a little accessory bag that goes with it, with a pom-pom, because who can say no to a pom-pom? Am I right? But this has my scissors and some needles, and on my scissors I have this other little scissor fob that my friend Ava gave to me in August. So anyway, I call this scissor jail because I have been known to leave my scissors unprotected in my stitching bag, and it has poked a hole through my linen. Not good. So, scissor jail. So those are kind of the two things that I'm stitching on. I actually have one other thing that I'm stitching on, but I can't show you because it's a surprise, secret stitching. So anyway, oh, and His Eyes on the Sparrow is by Heartstring Samplery. I don't think I mentioned that. And They Send is by Exemplar Dames. And I will try to put links to all this stuff and notes and what have you on my blog when I post this. So that's what I'm working on stitching wise. And quilting, I have actually just recently finished a quilt, which I would show you, but there's no way you'd be able to see it. So that's gonna have to be a photographic post. But I just recently finished it, actually last week. This week, I was pushing to try to get it done so that I could take it to Quilt Guild on Thursday night. So, got it done, got the binding on, got my label on, good to go. I actually did the quilting on my machine over the holidays. So, anyway, more to come on that. The other thing, quilting related, that I'm kind of working on is my Hex on the Beach, my Tula Pink Hex on the Beach kit, which is an English paper piecing kit, and from a couple years ago in her saltwater line. And this lives in my zipper bag, my Lady Jeanette zipper bag. This was my very first attempt at putting a zipper in something. And it actually went pretty well. So this linen panel here is something that I picked up when I was at the Needlework Show in Paris with Sylvia last February. There was a booth that was selling a bunch of these just kind of pre-cut, and there was a big pile of them, and this is one of the ones I picked out because, well, you know, it's weird. Bats, scarabs, stars. I mean, come on. It's totally me. And then I used, this is Juliana Horner for Joann's, her rosette line, which is where the rose fabric comes from. Same thing on the back, black zipper. And then inside of it, I used, this is also a Juliana Horner fabric. I believe this one may be from Homestead, her next line, right after Rosette. So here is where I'm at on my Hex on the Beach. And you can see, I'll give you kind of the you can see where I'm at. I am joining row 5 here, almost done with it. And if you've never seen English paper piecing before, let me just show you kind of quickly what this is. So the kit came with all of the Tula Pink fabric needed, already pre-cut, which this is the tip, pre-cut hexagons. All of the hexagons that you need, all of the fabric that you need, this is kind of a stack of several, but for making the quilt. And it came with the Tula Pink saltwater prints, and then it also came with the coordinating solids so that you've got both, everything that you need. And it came with the paper pieces that you use. Let me see if I can find those. Here we go. And these are what you use. This is made on kind of heavy, not quite cardstock fabric, also pre-cut, which is nice. And basically what you're doing is you're taking your fabric piece and you are putting it inside your, putting your template inside, and then you kind of baste it. I do baste through my papers, as you can see from these holes, but you can reuse your papers until they kind of give up the ghost. But you're basically folding this over. This is like your seam allowance. Folding this over and basting it with really, you know, just a couple of stitches on, you know, each side. And then once you've got it all basted, then you start attaching them to each other. And so you can see my basting stitches that are still here that I haven't pulled out yet. And once you get your hexagon surrounded on all sides, then you can pop those papers out. You can take your basting stitches out, and then you can pop your paper out. So the ones that are on the edge, in order to, you know, to keep that shape, I leave those, so those will stay in the whole time. But as I get, like once I get row 5 totally sewn on, then I can take these row 4 papers out. And to stitch them together, basically what you're doing is, let me see if I can get to the other end here, is you're basically, you know, lining up your two sides. So I've got 2 there. You're lining up your 2 sides, and then I'm sort of just whip stitching it together. And then I, you know, kind of move this along and go to my next one and whip stitch them. And so when you whip stitch them together, you're holding them right sides together. And you're taking tiny, tiny little stitches so that you're not picking up that paper. Even though I go through it for basting, I don't pick it up when I'm sewing the hexagons themselves together. And so then you just keep at it until it's done. So hex on the beach. And here's kind of a quick me so that you can see how the whole thing looks. Plus you can Google, right? So and scissor jail for this project is a little Tula Pink dumpling bag that was made by my mini quilt swap partner. She sent me two of these dumplings that she made out of Tula Pink Foxfield. So scissors are in this, as well as my threads that I need. So that's what I'm working on quilting wise, and then knitting. So knitting, this is hanging out in my bag from the knotted bag. How cute is that? Seriously. Anyway, I just recently picked knitting back up. I can't ever say that I ever stuck with it long enough for it to really stick. But I am bound and determined this time that that's not going to be the case. So I have started out with just some size 8 plain old bamboo clover needles, and then some yarn. Somebody gave this to me. The person that helped me try to figure this out last time gave this to me, and so I've just been working on this yarn, and I'm just doing garter stitch, garter stitch, garter stitch, but I'm enjoying it, and I'm anxious to move on to something else. I figure this can be a scarf or maybe a cowl when it's done. So, and I don't even know if I'm supposed to like do something with this other than just leave it how it is, but whatever. That's what I'm doing. So anyway, so that's knitting. I'm working on that. I'm enjoying it, and hopefully one of these days I'll be, you know, making hats and scarves and shawls and what have you. Oh, and here's her little label for the knotted bag. Too cute. With a little polka dot fabric inside. So there's knitting. And then the only other thing I thought I would share is what I'm reading. So at the beginning of the year, I actually started this on the 1st of January. I picked up The Red Tent by Anita Diamant. I don't know if I'm saying that right. Anyway, I've had this book forever, I think, and never read it. And over the holidays, we recorded the mini series that was on and watched that, and it was excellent. Absolutely amazing. I loved it. It had that kind of women-focused story, kind of like a totally different story, but kind of like The Mists of Avalon by Marion Zimmer Bradley, one of my favorite books. It had that same kind of feel to it, to me, and it really stuck with me. And so as Sylvia and I were talking about, you know, reading over the next year, and I did mention this on my blog, that I wanted to read not just quick and easy, you know, in and out, what I call sort of potato chip books. I want to read some more, you know, quality books that make me think a little bit. So I mentioned to her that I was thinking about, you know, actually reading The Red Tent. She wanted to read it as well, so she and I are reading this together. As you can see, I'm not super far into it, you know, and I'm using my beautiful bookmark that Sylvia picked up at a beautiful little museum in Paris where they have the unicorn tapestries, and this is a part of one of those tapestries. So it just seemed fitting for this book. So that's what I have in there. That's what I'm reading, and as soon as I'm done with it, I will definitely be posting my review. So far, I'm enjoying it, and it was a little slow to start, but I think I've kind of picked up a little bit. So now I'm enjoying it. So anyway, so that's kind of all that I had planned to talk about today. Like I said, I wanted to give this a shot and see what you guys think, see what I think, and you know, hey, if this works out, then I will do it more often, or more. So I can't really say more often since this is just the only one. So and I apologize if I am looking, you know, not straight at the camera. I'm having a hard time looking at the camera versus looking at myself on the camera. So, which is probably why I'm sort of looking off to the side the whole time. So I apologize for that. I will practice. So thank you so much for watching me, and please let me know what you think, and I look forward to maybe trying this out again sometime. And really the only other thing I wanted to say, obviously, like I said, you can find me on my blog. You can go to CozyEggDesigns.com, and from there you can get to either my Cozy Egg blog or the Cozy Style blog. And everything is now all in one place, which is kind of exciting. And then you can also find me on Twitter and Instagram as Cozyegg. I pretty much use Cozyegg kind of in all the places. So I think I actually have an account on Ravelry too that I believe is also as Cozyegg. But who the heck knows? Because, you know, yeah, garter stitch. So, when I started my blog in 2006, it was really important to me. It's still very important to me to always, at the end of each post, list something that I'm grateful for. Really acknowledging gratitude is something that's very important to me, and I think it's very important to acknowledge what you have rather than what you don't have. And so for today, I just want to leave you with, today I am grateful for trying new things. So thanks everybody. Have a great start to your week. Bye.